All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a successful Mother's Day weekend, a successful day yesterday, and happy belated Mother's Day to all of our moms out there. Just wanted to say thanks for joining us today on our Essential Skills Seminar. I'm sure you're all got your feet up and you're resting after the busy day, but appreciate you for joining anyway. I'm super excited to have on the line today Mr. Brett Skian, our Senior Market Director out of Southern California. Brett, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. You're just catching up from the busy week, busy day, getting everything together. Getting to see the kiddos later on. So just get everything caught up. But happy to be here. All right. So we are going to talk a little bit today about kind of important one for me is when Mary put these up here. I chose this one in particular. I thought managerial courage was a really relevant topic for us right now with the company climate. There's been a lot of emphasis lately or moving forward on results and obtaining those results. There's a lot of accountability on us as leaders attaining those results for our restaurants. And I think sometimes where we can be a little bit better is having the managerial courage to hold our team members accountable for those results as well, and kind of pass them that accountability on. So again, my name is Brett Skian. I'm the Senior Market Director from Southern California. I oversee Woodland Hills, Torrance, and Long Beach. And I'm going to be with you here for the next half hour or so. You can go next one there. So managerial courage. Courage, while something we admire, is not always easy to embody because it often requires standing out when you'd rather blend in. Managerial courage means doing the right thing even when it's not the easiest or most popular thing. It means taking productive risks. As a manager, you show courage when you coach an employee, handle an unhappy guest, apologize for a mistake, yours or operationally, or challenges the status quo. Effective leaders understand the importance of remaining true to their virtues. Will never lose sight of company values. When others witness acts of courage, like your teams especially, they will be inspired to act courageously as well. As a leader, people watch us and you folks. We're observed in how we handle tough situations with our team and with our guests. And eventually, our behavior becomes their behavior. We rub off on our team. Managerial courage is a powerful quality that, while not always natural or comfortable, most times it's not natural or comfortable, can be developed over time. Like any behavior, acting courageously takes practice and reinforcement, and doing the right thing can be, sometimes daunting, or a lot of times daunting when it's not the most comfortable thing. It can feel overwhelming, but ultimately will ease the fear that impedes our progress and limits our effectiveness as leaders and managers. So let's talk about the word courage. It comes from medieval French, and it means heart of spirit. It's a conscious effort to reclaim your courage as a manager. How can you uncover your courage or your heart of spirit, and ask yourself these couple of tough questions here? Would you stay in a job that you hate or don't believe in? What in your life is non-negotiable? Would you hide a mistake because you need your job? And what types of behaviors are unacceptable to you or are acceptable in your world? So let's talk a little bit about managerial courage in action. So we're going to go through a little activity here. And so I want everybody to kind of answer these questions to themselves. And I'd love, once we get through here, for someone or a couple people to maybe share their thoughts on one of these topics or one of these situations. So think to yourself here, what's the least popular or most difficult discussion that you have had to make? It could be recently, it could be in the past. Again, it could be last week, it could be last year. Think of a time where you had a really unpopular or difficult decision that you had to make. And then think to yourself, did this decision create conflict? If it did, how did we handle it? And then, right, in reevaluating yourself and get kind of some self-reflection, if you had to do it over, what would you do different? Or what would you do in this case this time? Would it be different, or would it be the same? Or what would change or what would not change? Anybody want to jump in here for a little bit? Anybody have anything they want to add to maybe just talk a little bit or share a difficult decision they had or an unpopular decision they had at some point? I know I was thinking about these earlier, and there's there's bigger ones, there's smaller ones. I kind of came back to one where I went in my very early careers as a GM at that point of operating partners, same kind of deal. And I had, it was a company I'd been with for a long time, and so I had some people that worked under me that we had kind of grown up together with it in the company. And one of those ended up being a manager, or actually was a chef that worked under me. And I knew this person. I really admired this person as a person. I knew their family. I knew we were close on a personal level as well as a professional level. And it came to a point where this person's performance caused me to make some decisions about their employment, and it became a very difficult situation for all involved, myself and these people and the team. So did this create conflict? Definitely. Again, this was a very hard personal one for me. It was someone I cared about on a personal level. And so at first I was very young in my career. I was very young in my leadership situation there. So I didn't handle. I think eventually I handled it well, but I don't think I handled it very well to start with. I think I let this person, my personal feelings to this person, kind of control how I acted for maybe longer than I would like to. And so looking back at it, I think ultimately I came to the right decision, but I think the amount of time it took me to get to the right decision, which is eventually parting ways with this person professionally. But I think the amount of time it took me to get to that point maybe hurt my credibility a little bit at that time, because I probably should have acted quicker, because this person's, work situation was creating an unstable or an ineffective work life for a lot of our team members and a lot of our other managers. How about anybody else? Anybody else have something they want to jump in here? Brownie points for participation.
And we've got eyes on the chat if you're more comfortable
Okay.
typing that into the chat. But I'll share one, Brett. You made me think of a time that I had to share courage, and it was a long time ago when I was a lead, and one of our managers, I don't know a better term than bullying, but one of our managers was kind of bullying another manager and doing things like, the manager would close, and then the one who was bullying would leave just these really aggressive log notes about how terrible the close was and how they were set up poorly for success. And, of course, that created a lot of conflict, and being just a witness to these back and forth log notes.
Sure.
And I felt, not just, I felt bad for the manager who was being berated in these log notes, but then that also kind of scared the poop out of me, because, I closed a lot as well, and I didn't want a log note written like that about me.
Right.
And so I ended up, I think I should have said something a lot sooner, but I ended up going to my operating partner and sharing that with her, that, hey, I thought that this was, I thought it was too over the top, and it didn't matter if it was just at one particular person, that I didn't think it was fair that that person was berated so aggressively in the log notes, and that if there was an issue, we needed to discuss it, but it should be constructive and not criticism. So if I had to do it over, I probably would have spoken up a lot sooner, because it was weeks that this was going on, and I could see this other manager just getting more and more beat down after every close that they had, essentially.
Sure. I think that's a lot of times where the courage part comes in. It's having the courage to do the uncomfortable and call somebody out, or speak up for yourself, or advocate for another, one of your team members, one of your fellow managers, or and that's where the courage part comes in, because it's not easy to, it's not easy to confront somebody like that, especially with somebody that's already bullying somebody, or making them feel a certain way. None of us want to feel that way, so it's hard to. That's really the courageous part, is making the decision to stand up for whatever is going on here, speak up, whether that's going to be comfortable for you or not, or whether that is the most fun thing, or the most popular thing to do. All right, so how to exhibit managerial courage. So in the words of the great Captain Jean-Luc Picard, the first duty of every officer is to do the right thing. And I think that's very poignant. Where the courage part often comes about doing the right thing. I think we generally, not always, but mostly know what the right thing is, and what the right answer for a situation is. But when the right thing isn't happening, and the hard part is speaking up and being about the right thing. Whether that means it could be doing things the right way, might be leading to a unfavorable result, where maybe there could be some things you could do to make a better result, but they're not the right way to do things. And so doing things the right way and getting the result the right way. There's really about doing the right thing and having that integrity. I think is a big part of it. Having the courage to make that the first standard is what's the right thing, what's the right way, and let's go at it that way. And if it's not going that way, to speak up. So how does it exhibit managerial courage? Admitting your own mistakes takes courage. Some people's reaction to making a mistake is to get defensive and find excuses to wiggle themselves out of a situation. Openly admitting to mistakes might actually help your career advancement in the following ways. Mistakes, you learn from mistakes. These are learning moments for us. Admitting mistakes allow you to honestly review what went wrong, how it could be improved the next time, and this helps you grow as a person. On the other hand, making excuses will deny you the chance to learn. If you're making excuses about why a mistake you made, you're not learning from it. You might not do it differently next time, and you might not build on it and avoid that mistake the next time. Take responsibility. Most of the time, people know who made the mistake. Being open and honest about it, it shows the people that you are a person who can shoulder greater responsibilities. As a manager, being honest about mistakes displays humility and earns the respect of your team. I think the respect part of it is a big one. People that are afraid to admit their mistakes lose credibility really fast with the people you're trying to lead. Have integrity. We've talked about that. Telling a lie to cover up a mistake often ends up in another lie to cover up the first lie. It's really a vicious cycle. The result, it's this constant guilt, fear of being discovered. Eventually you're going to face the music more than likely. So just do it right off the bat. Maintain a clear conscience and have the freedom to move on. Practicing integrity can be very liberating. And then be trustworthy. Over time, people tend to trust you more easily when you practice integrity and take responsibility on a regular basis. And again, that's your baseline. This not only helps greatly in career growth, but also fosters a trusting work environment that's focused on the right things. And again, you earn that respect from the people you're trying to lead. It's hard to lead people that don't trust you and don't trust in your integrity and how you're going to go about things in that right way. So what creates a courageous work culture? Courageous work culture requires each of its members to do the right thing. Like I said, while easily said, doing the right thing often requires a deep conviction and belief that doing what is right is worth any effort. So some of the things here that are facets of courage is emotional courage. This involves knowing yourself. It is a declared intent. It requires a path of committed to contemplation. Again, just taking the time to stop and reflect on your decisions and on your actions, to release your false sense of, or kind of the opposite of your own self. There's leadership courage. There's organizational and individual. Organizational courage is the courage that honors and uplifts the human spirit. It means the organization and our people will fall on their sword to honor the collective personal courage. Courageous leadership knows the difference between pride and arrogance and humility and grace. Individual leadership courage is when you know your own mind and you speak again about knowing what's right and having the courage to speak up about it. Then you're willing to break the mold. Then you're willing to again be a leader really. Then there's ethical or moral courage. This is the willingness to choose differently at any given time, regardless of personal hardship. The objective is to aspire to a higher level of integrity rather than a lower alternative. Again, I just think I keep back to that right thing. No one is happy when we're faking it. And then there's personal courage. It's the way your heart might be easiest way to understand this form is blending of heart and mind. With the desire to hold yourself 100% accountable for your actions and be feeling safe in times of uncertainty and being comfortable with yourself, all that contributes to your personal courage and exhibiting personal courage. All righty. So, however, it's important to remember that this is, it's not a popularity contest. Oftentimes the doing the right thing or having courage is kind of going against the grain, and it's making decisions that aren't the most popular with a lot of people. A truly courageous leader will not be overly or motivated by popularity. The courageous leader will think of what is best for the majority while remaining sensitive to the right of the minority, knowing that his or her decision will be the unpopular one with one group or the other. Managers who constantly seek consensus or cohesive decisions amongst the group are most likely trying to avoid conflict with the group. many times at the expense of the wise or good decision. Again, at that point, you're not looking at the right thing, you're looking at the easy thing. And most often the easy thing is not really the right thing. All right, so now we have a little, this is another kind of self quiz for yourself here. I want you guys to all rate, we're gonna go slide by slide here, and I want you guys to all rate yourself on these kind of scales here. So the first one would be, of your measure of courage is, on one side, do you give feedback or correct others only when necessary? Or do you seek opportunities to teach and coach prior to the issues arising? So are you, is coaching or speaking up a last resort for you, or is it something that you're actively looking to do on an everyday basis? All right, and then if anybody at any points wants to raise their hand or jump in the chat or share, I would love somebody to get in here and talk about this. So next one would be, so on one side, are you ambivalent about your own perspective? Or are you on the other side, do you let people know where you stand at all times? Is your opinion important, whether it may be different, or again, is your right thing, what you know is the right thing, important for you to speak up to about on a regular basis? All right. All right. So on this one here, do you wait until it's safe to provide feedback, or do you give timely and appropriate feedback on an ongoing basis? And then, so do you avoid taking actions in fear of offending others, whether it be the people you lead or the people you work with, or are you unafraid to take an action that might seem negative to others? So it might not be a negative action overall, but it might seem negative to the people that you're trying to get through, or the people that you're leading or in the trenches with. And then, are you overly flexible, or do you take the tough stance when needed? Pause here for a minute. Does anybody want to add anything? Does anybody want to speak up? Anyone want to raise their hand? Everybody's worn out from Mother's Day. I get it. All right. So another activity, we're going to solve it here. Someone's laughing at me. All right. So having the courage to step up to conflicts. Savvy leaders know conflict is a natural, inevitable part of people working together. Instead of avoiding conflict, they choose productive ways to get involved because they know conflict, handled well, strengthens teams. What are conflicts? In fact, conflicts are impacting productivity or morale in your team, and how could you step up to ensure resolution?
All right, so same deal here, guys. We've got an eye on the chat. But yeah, what conflicts are impacting productivity or morale in your team? What can you do to ensure resolution?
So one of the ones that stuck out for me here was, we've been talking about active selling a lot with our team, and the hospitalized scorecard and measuring our servers on performance. And I don't know that we've all been great at doing that for a long time. And that, again, that may have been definitely was impacting our productivity. But then, the initial part of it, getting people on those results, it might have been impacting morale a bit as well. And I think that the way that I stepped up to ensure resolution, just being fair and explaining to team members about what the results are and what's expected of them, and it's and just making them understand, where it's all coming from. All right. And then, so courage hold people accountable. A team is only as strong as its weakest link. When a team member is incapable or unwilling to change, courageous leaders rise to the uncomfortable task of terminating the relationship when coaching has failed to change their behavior. How are we handling weak links in our teams?
Well, you just spoke to that a little bit with the server scorecard. Yeah.
I kind of overlapped.
But no, it's a good call out. I mean, I'm sure all of us can think of the weak links on our team, and are we having those difficult conversations with them, or are we just kind of taking the easy way out and hoping that maybe they'll take care of themselves?
And I think another good one here is, what do you do when the weak link, performance wise, is someone that maybe a long-term teamer that is always been there from, maybe they show up when you need them, or they're, you're fond of them as a person. How do we separate those two, and how do we handle those weak links in those situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because especially with all the change that's going on right now, some of our long-term team members are the ones dragging their feet the hardest. So I love that. It's a great question to pose, Brett.
All right, now courage to admit weakness. Brave leaders practice candid self-reflection. They solicit feedback and listen non-defensively because they know others' perceptions must be addressed. They face up to blind spots like inability to admit mistakes, arrogance, defensiveness, and lack of composure. What weaknesses or blind spots are you working to improve in your business, in your market, in your everyday world? Let's see. So I think this one. I love this one where it calls out. It's. I just think I spoke earlier to credibility. When you display things like when you can't admit your own mistakes, or you can't. Sometimes people have a hard time admitting that other people's ideas are maybe better than their ideas in certain ways. And I think being a leader is getting over that and not having that arrogance. I think you're always have the best idea. Being defensive when you either make a mistake or you're just plain wrong. I think that's hard to do sometimes. And then the lack of composure one speaks for itself. I mean, that's one that is it takes courage to be able to compose yourself. And then, the truth is that most managers typically have enormous reserves of courage, but hesitate to tap into them. It is those who recognize courage in themselves and apply it who make life infinitely easier for themselves and those they serve and those they lead and those they work with, or they surround themselves with. All right, well, we'll recap here. The measure of success is not whether you have a tough problem to deal with, but whether it's the same problem you had last year. I really like that one, Mary. This is great. It is, again, this is very relevant to us right now. We're looking to move things forward right now with our company. And so if you have the same issue that you've been having last month or last year, are you trying a different solution? Again, do you have the courage to admit that whatever you're doing isn't working? And try something different, even though you were convinced that this was the right way to handle things. At some point, do you have the courage to just say, "Look, I was wrong. This isn't what's working. Let's try something else or somebody else's idea." All right. So to lead courageously, you should clarify what is important to you. Make decisions and act in ways consistent with your principles. Demonstrate the courage to do what is right despite personal risk or discomfort. Take a stance to resolve important issues. Confront problems promptly. Address prejudice in yourself. Address prejudice in intolerant behaviors in others. Act decisively. And challenge others to make tough choices. All right. So commitment time. We're all going to make a commitment to ourselves right now, and to each other, and to our teams and our peers. A commitment is this: as I will seek opportunities to observe others making courageous decisions. I will have a difficult conversation that I have been avoiding, and if given the opportunity, I will appropriately challenge the status quo. Is everybody on board with that commitment? Anyone can give me some thumbs up or some high fives or there you go. Somebody got thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. And then Q&A. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask? Or again, anything they want to add? Who's got one? If we go back there, who's got a difficult conversation that have been avoiding? Anybody have one of those? Safe space here. You can admit it. Again, have the courage to admit that you've been avoiding something that's okay.
All right. Well, I guess we're still working on that courage, Brett.
Let's do it over again.
Awesome.
We'll start from the beginning. We'll do it again.
We recorded it. They can listen to the recording.
Great job. Great job.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brett. And I actually love the way that you led into this call today with because you're right. There's a lot being asked of our teams right now, and we're being asked to buy into a lot of initiatives very quickly, and we're being asked to jump through a lot of hoops. And there is I'm sure some of us who've been tempted with taking the easy way out, and that managerial courage is even more critical now than it has ever been. So, thank you so much for taking us through such a great and pertinent topic. I know we didn't have any questions on the call today, but if anyone has questions and just wants to pick Brett's brain a little bit more, you can give him a call, shoot him an email. He's there to support. But with
Always.
that being said, guys, thank you, Brett. Thank you, everyone. And that's all for today. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your Monday.
My pleasure. You guys have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Good job, Brett. Thanks, Mary.
Thanks.